Welcome to the Direct Snap Dads podcast, where we cover the best in football. And now your hosts, Tyson and Luke Randall.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Direct Snap Dads podcast. My name is Luke Randall and I'm here with my brother Tyson. Tyson, we had a lot of great games this week, didn't we?
We sure did, that's for sure. And I just want to say Happy New Year to all you listeners out there. We're glad to have you on the show with us today.
Welcome to 2019. It's going to be a great rest of the year for football. And later in the year, we get another season of football. So lots of good things coming up.
Looking forward to that for sure.
Just wanted to start out today doing some recaps of the games that we saw. And boy, was I wrong on lots of these games.
Yeah, we actually didn't do too bad for the most part. It's funny because the games where we disagreed, we each kind of went half and half on those. So
yeah, there were definitely some that turned out completely different than I thought they were going to turn out. But overall, It was entertaining for the most part. So we're going to go over those. Tyson, I wanted to kick it over to you for the first game. What was one game that stood out to you that you'd like to chat about with us today?
Yeah, for sure. Starting off, I just want to talk about the Sunday night game, Colts versus Titans. I think that game was really exciting, especially in the first half when it was kind of anyone's game. Colts won 33-17, beat the Titans at home. Starting out, the crowd was way into it, and then the Colts kind of cooled them off with those two touchdowns, and then the Titans got right back into it with that pick six.
I saw that it was 14-0 at some point, right?
Right, yeah. The Colts got two early touchdowns, and then the Titans got a pick six that kind of brought the crowd back into it, and the game kind of kept going from there. One thing that I guess I didn't realize, Marcus Mariota didn't even play the game. He was out with an injury, so I didn't know that. I didn't know what I could expect from the Titans with Blaine Gabbert as your starting quarterback.
Yeah.
But the Colts defense played really well. One player I had never even heard of until this game. I don't follow the Colts too much, but Darius Leonard, number 53, he leads the league in tackles, and he was the one who kind of ended the game with that interception.
Wow.
He's quite a player, definitely, and he's a rookie too. He played really well, so he was kind of a standout player from that game.
He's got a bright career ahead of him then.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the Titans made a lot of mistakes, turnovers. The Colts defense kind of handled it for them, and I think overall it was a great game for them.
Well, I'm going to get a lame game out of the way first on my end. I said that I was going to cover the Falcons versus the old Bucks. And so the Falcons came into Tampa Bay, and there was an early lead for the Bucks. The Bucks jumped up 17-0, and it was just about halftime, but Julio Jones caught a last-second touchdown right before the half. And in classic, he really is. And in classic Tampa Bay fashion, the Falcons score like 30 unanswered points, and they kick a last-second field goal, and as time runs out, the 37-yard field goal puts the Falcons up 34-32 for the win. It was like a mini capsule of the entire Tampa Bay season. You start off with those three first games that were just awesome, and you had Fitzmagic looking like Conor McGregor. And everything just went downhill from there. It's been that kind of season for them. However, there in the beginning, they did way better than I thought they were going to do. I believe I predicted them to be 8-8 this year, and they certainly didn't reach that. But that was first. Yeah, I needed to get that one out of the way. So anyways, let's kick it back over to you, Tyson. What was your next game?
Wanted to talk about the Cardinals versus the Seahawks. A game that wasn't supposed to be close, wasn't supposed to be exciting, but ended up being very close and very exciting. A lot of back and forth between those two teams. It's a division matchup. The Cardinals, had nothing to play for. The Seahawks really had nothing to play for. They had already clinched the playoffs. Seahawks won 27-24 with a last-second field goal. It was tied 24-24 with like 3 seconds left.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the Cardinals special team, I was impressed with the Cardinals special teams. They really stepped up in this game. They had it seems like they had a touchdown and, got a lot of yardage and really a couple blocked punts too, I think. So they really stepped up and kind of made the game close. So, and then the Seahawks, they've got Russell Wilson. He had some amazing passes. He really helped the Seahawks in the end there, putting them in field goal position to win the game. The Cardinals' offensive line is awful. The Seahawks may be worse.
Atrocious.
The Seahawks probably have a worse offensive line. There were so many sacks in this game. I think there were like 11 sacks total. And both Russell Wilson and Josh Rosen were like on the ground like the whole game. And it just got me thinking, like, if you've got a star QB or you moved up in the draft to get a guy that you believe in to be your starting QB, you might as well protect them. Buy some offensive linemen.
Seriously.
Get those guys some protection for sure. I do enjoy seeing Josh Rosen get knocked down, though. That's my opinion. He's a great player, but anyway.
Yeah, it is fun to see him get the strap.
Right.
So it was. So I was covering the Vikings versus Bears this week, and the Vikings really needed a win and could not deliver. They just needed to come through, and they were not a clutch team. Cousins struggled in this game. They were at home. They had all the advantages. The Bears have made the playoffs, and the Bears still wrecked them. 24-10 was the final score. The crowd was into it in the beginning, but then once they realized, oh, you know what? We're not going to make it. It was pretty quiet in the fourth quarter. Cousins couldn't deliver against the Bears' second string defense in the late fourth quarter. They were still shutting them down. The Bears established the running game really well, took them out. The Vikings needed this win and could not make it happen. And now the Eagles, who did make it happen, have somehow slipped into the playoffs again.
Right. That's like the worst thing. Like the Vikings, they're like one of the most snake bit teams.
They really are. Oh my goodness.
They got so close last year and everyone expected them to do well this year and they just totally blew it. Kirk Cousins is the latest QB to rob a team of tons of money.
He has like a $30 million contract or something that they're just
per year. Yeah.
Per year.
He's like 84 million guaranteed. It's crazy.
You could send some my way and I'll go throw some balls for him.
Right.
I mean, if he's gonna be incomplete, I'll go make a few incompletions too. So
yeah, for sure. I picked the Browns versus the Ravens. I think that was a really exciting game. The Ravens ended up winning 26-24. Do believe the Browns were robbed in this game, and a lot of analysts don't think so, and a lot of people don't think so. Maybe they weren't. I think they were because there was a play. The Ravens were on the goal line. Lamar Jackson tried to sneak it in, jump over the pile, and he fumbled it. But they called it down or a dead ball or something. But the Browns actually, Jabril Peppers, I think it was, he picked up the ball and was heading back, and he got to like the 50-yard line. He was like all alone running back. And then they reviewed the play, and it really was a fumble, but they never. It was too late in the game. I think the Browns really got robbed there in that game. A lot of exciting action though. Baker Mayfield, I said in the last podcast, he's super exciting. He's definitely one of my favorite young QBs in the league to watch. He had a few great touchdown passes, and he actually broke the rookie touchdown passing record for regular season. He got 27. I think he beat Peyton Manning's record. So
no way. That's crazy.
That's pretty crazy for him.
Yeah. So I was covering the Chargers, who went into Mile High this week to play the Broncos. It was a great win for the Chargers. 23-9 was the final score. My favorite play of the week was in this game. We'll talk about that in a minute. In the meantime, the Broncos failed from the beginning with an onside kick on the opening kickoff that didn't work. Keenum couldn't make anything happen against the Chargers defense, who were on point, confident. They were looking good this week. And it's unfortunate, in my opinion, being a Chargers fan, that they have is it the fifth seed? They're like the fifth seed a fifth seed with a 12-4 record going up against a 10-6 team in their house. So, that's kind of a rough situation. But if I know the Chargers and their attitude, because I do follow them on Instagram, they don't care. They're going to go in. Right. They're going to do their best. They're going to make a good game of it too. But we'll talk about that in a minute.
I was covering the Cowboys versus Giants. They were in New Jersey. The Cowboys ended up winning 36-35. Ended up being probably one of the best games of the week, I think. Cody Latimer of the Giants had two amazing one-handed catches, one of them for a touchdown. The Giants, their season's lost, but they ended up putting up a pretty good fight against the Cowboys, and they almost won. There was a little bit of back and forth there at the end, And my favorite play of the week was actually in this game. But I got to talk about it here, and I'll talk about it again there. But that Cole Beasley touchdown on 4th and 15, I just got to say, wow, that was incredible. What a win for the Cowboys. They really needed it going into the playoffs. Their hopes are high now. They've kind of got the fire behind them, and I think they're charging into the playoffs full speed after this game.
They ended up 10-6 this year. Is that right?
Right. Yeah. 10-6, won the division.
They're a surprising team to me this year. I guess I didn't predict them being in the playoffs.
Yeah, I didn't either. I think I predicted them to be pretty good this year, but I didn't really think they'd make the playoffs, especially with the defending champion Eagles coming in there and everything. So
yeah,
definitely a surprise playoff team for me.
Surprise is there. And I called the Redskins to win that division, and as soon as Alex Smith went out, and then their backup went out, and then Mark Sanchez. He didn't make things happen, so there was no hope as soon as Sanchez stepped on the field. But my final game that I decided to cover in some detail was the Steelers versus the Bengals. The Bengals came into Heinz Field hopeful to wreck the Steelers season, and they almost succeeded. It was 13-13 in the fourth quarter. The Steelers went ahead 16-13, and in the last minutes, the Bengals couldn't make a fourth down completion. 80,000 fans went nuts, came onto the field to hang around and watch the Browns-Ravens game, hopeful that they would somehow make the playoffs this year, and it was not meant to be. Dave Damashek and company are disappointed in their Steelers this year. As he said, How did the Steelers not even make the playoffs? I don't understand. I didn't call them not making the playoffs. So they get the brown paper bag of shame this week for not making that, I'm sure, at least in Dave's opinion. But yeah, overall, it was a pretty good game, low scoring, kind of a defensive showcase. But anytime the Bengals come to town, it gets hard to watch. Marvin Lewis has been there on a 16-year vacation, hasn't brought them a single playoff win in 16 years. And I heard today that he's parting ways. Yeah, so that's the big news today, is that Marvin Lewis is gone. And my guess, knowing the Bengals' history and how their ownership works, that Hugh Jackson's going to take over for him next. We'll see about that.
That's what I heard too. Marvin Lewis really has shaped that organization, and I don't think that, he really likes Hugh Jackson. So I could see it happening despite
Marvin Lewis has done a fantastic job of shaping a 8-8 culture over there. They really needed to step up from their 90s bumbles of being 3-13 all the time. So good on Marvin Lewis for taking 16 years to bring him up to, 4 or 5 more wins per year. Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
So let's go ahead and quickly cover the rest of these games. A lot of these weren't that noteworthy, in my opinion. We had a lot of teams that were playing for nothing. Let's talk about that.
A lot of blowouts.
First, lots of blowouts as well. So let's talk Dolphins and Bills. 42-17. Bills ended up shutting down the Dolphins. Dolphins didn't quite reach their typical 500 status this year.
Right. Yeah. A lot of problems in Miami, and this game was the second time the Miami Dolphins defense made Josh Allen look like the next Adrian Peterson.
So true.
It's bad when your only option is to try and kill the man. I'm looking at you, Kiko.
Right. Oh my goodness, Kiko. Wow. He's a dirty player sometimes. Kind of a funny player to watch. He's kind of fun to watch. He's like perfect off the Bengals, but
yeah, I can't believe it. Like as a Dolphins fan, I gave him some slack after that Flacco play last year or the year before, but I kind of thought, well, he was kind of starting to slide, but after this play, like, holy cow, he just really tried to take that guy's head off, take Josh Allen's head off. I couldn't believe it.
A little out of hand there. All right, the Lions went into Green Bay this week and came out with a 31-0 shutout. What a terrible way for this nightmare of a season for the Packers to end. I am not a Packers fan, but I have plenty of friends who are. They're not happy about how this game or this season turned out, for sure.
Yeah, the game ended when Rodgers went out with that concussion. For sure, dismal season for the Packers, especially with Aaron Rodgers, he's a great quarterback, one of the best in the league, probably the best talent-wise. But he just has had a rough go of it this year.
You lead us in with the. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say one play that was pretty noteworthy in this game was Matt Prater's touchdown pass on that fake field goal.
Yeah,
he looked like Peyton Manning back there.
He was right on point.
Yeah, and one thing, I don't know if you know this about him, he holds the record for the longest field goal in the NFL, 64 yards. Yeah, in like 2013, 64-yard field goal, longest in NFL history.
That's amazing.
Through a dime that no one was expecting.
Oh,
it was pretty great. So the Jets went into Foxborough. That's all you need to know about that game.
All right, so the Panthers and the Saints played this week. Panthers ended up winning 33-14. Saints were resting their offense, but surprisingly, for a lot of the game, were not resting their defense. I don't know if that's concerning for Saints fans to see the Panthers put up 33 points on their starting defense, but I think they're just resting. I wouldn't be too concerned about the Saints at this point. But because of that loss, I predicted them exactly right, 13-3. So I'm going to give myself a pat on the back.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and this is one of those games where we said it could go either way, especially if the Saints did rest their offense, which they did. I don't know. I don't know if the Saints are running on all cylinders coming into the playoffs here. They're lucky they've got a bye week here because, like you said, I was kind of concerned that their first team defense showed up by a non-drafted rookie that put up 33 points on them.
That's concerning.
So I guess we'll see what happens. But
all right, the Jaguars went in to play the Texans, and that's been indicative of the Jaguars' season this year. 20-3 win for the Texans. Tyson, take us quickly through the Chiefs and Raiders. Another kind of lame blowout game this week.
Yeah, for sure. The Chiefs blew out the Raiders 35-3. Pat Mahomes, amazing player, definitely an MVP candidate. He got 50 touchdowns. He surpassed 5,000 yards. Great accomplishments, especially for his first year as the starting quarterback for the Chiefs. So not much to say here other than I think the Chiefs are firing on all cylinders, kind of going in. They've got that home field advantage, the number one seed. I think we'll see what happens. They've got a history, but I think they'll hopefully do well in the playoffs. But
it comes as no surprise that the 49ers could not hold their own against the Rams. That's another loss by several points, 48-32. The Rams end up 13-3 this year as well, and I believe they are the 2 seed in the NFC, so they're looking good. However, we'll talk about this in a minute. None of these teams that started off so hot are just shoo-ins for the Super Bowl, I feel like, whether it's the Chiefs, Saints, or Rams, because you've got the Ravens, Chargers, Patriots, even the Texans and Colts threatening, as well as some of these NFC contenders like the Cowboys, Seahawks, Bears, and possibly even the Eagles. But we'll talk about that in a minute. The final game of this week, of course, the Eagles shut out the dead while walking Redskins 24-0. That makes for 2 shutouts this week. Kind of unusual in the NFL, but it is week 17. Anything can happen.
Right. Yeah. I was impressed the Eagles, the Redskins didn't come to play, but the Eagles definitely did. And kind of showed us that they're still that same team from last year. I think that they deserved that last playoff spot over the Vikings. They played their best, and I think they're coming in hot as well in the playoffs. So they're a team to worry about, I think, coming in here. So
absolutely. All right. So real quick before we start talking the playoff picture, let's both choose our favorite plays from this week. Tyson, you want to go first with your favorite play?
Yeah, for sure. So I mentioned this earlier when I was talking about the Cowboys game. I think that Cole Beasley touchdown was pretty incredible. And so what was happening in the game at that point? The Cowboys were down. It was like 35-28. The Giants were winning. There's like 2 minutes left in the game. So it's getting close to the end of the game. The Cowboys are down. Dak Prescott steps back there, 4th and 15, throws the ball on a dime to Cole Beasley. It's like a 40-yard touchdown pass, and it was initially called incomplete. The ref thought that Cole Beasley did not get his feet in bounds, but when they reviewed it, his knee was down in the end zone. He had full control of the ball. It was a touchdown. So the Cowboys are down now 34-35. And instead of kicking the extra point to tie the game, they go for two and they get it. Go for the lead. Definitely a bold move, especially because time was running out. Like there was, they could have lost easily if they didn't get that 2-point conversion. I think that play was phenomenal. Definitely my favorite, just the way he caught the ball and kind of the situation they were in. I thought that was pretty incredible.
Absolutely. There were two Jarvis Landry catches that I almost picked for my favorite. There was a diving catch that he somehow saved, and
Love
just an
that.
amazing player. But that did not win it. My ultimate favorite play, and maybe it's because I'm biased towards the Chargers, came when the Broncos finally score a touchdown to put them back in the game, and it's looking good. It's 14-9, and they're going to go for two because they want to be risky and be within a field goal range to tie it up. And Keenum drops back, throws to the left side of the end zone, and Casey Hayward, number 26, who has had 0 interceptions this year, not only picks it off in the end zone, runs it back 99 yards for a 2-point conversion to make it 16-9. And hearing those boos in Mile High made me laugh so hard. It reminds me of Madden when you throw a bad interception or you throw 2 or 3 in a row and the crowd's just like, it's fantastic. So that was my favorite play. It was great to see Los Angeles get a play like that. And that 23-9 win was very satisfying. That was the most satisfying play of the week for me. So
Definitely a great play. Like that's like the unicorn play, like a pick two. Who does that?
Yep. No one does that. That never happens. In fact, a lot of people probably don't even know how many points you're rewarded for making that kind of a play.
Right.
So it's pretty crazy. But yeah, those were our favorite plays of the week. Let's talk playoff picture, Tyson. Your initial take when you're looking at this playoff tree, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, for sure. I think we got a ton of good games here. 4 great games. Colts at Texans, Seahawks at Cowboys, Chargers at Ravens, Eagles at Bears. These are our wild card games.
That's a big wild card weekend right there.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
going to be good.
A lot of good games, a lot of great matchups. These teams all deserve to be in the playoffs. They're all great teams. Any single one of them could win. I could see any of them winning the Super Bowl as well, really. I mean,
Yeah.
It's really anyone's game right now.
And that's what makes this year so awesome. It's not like you have
I love it.
It's not like you have a Bills team like last year that made it in that you're like, there's just no way.
Right. Yeah. There's no way. And then the Patriots are going to win. It's not that kind of playoffs right now. Like this is really exciting. I think
It is exciting. Yeah.
all 12 of the teams in the playoffs are super exciting.
Now, being the 1 seed, who do you think is the last team that the Chiefs want to see coming into Arrowhead?
Honestly, I've got to say the Patriots still. Chiefs and Patriots have kind of had a history in the past few years as the Chiefs have gotten better and better, kind of challenged the Patriots. I really don't think you want to be playing Bill Belichick, even if it's at home. You don't want to be playing Tom Brady that late in the playoffs,
The Chiefs struggle in their history. Playoffs are not their friend historically. So I hope that doesn't come to bite them because I'd much rather see the Chiefs in the Super Bowl than another Patriots Super Bowl. But I'm also concerned. I mean, the Patriots have looked a little weaker than other years this year, but they are not out of it by any means. They get hot in the playoffs, and Brady started to look good again. He's still been obviously top 10, top 15 quarterback this year, but everyone talks about, oh, he's dropping off, but the man is 41, still out there throwing a ball like a boss. He's an amazing player, and you love to hate him, you hate to love him because he always beats your teams that you would rather have win. But here they are in the mix, not only in the mix, but they are the 2 seed. As the Chargers, who again 12-4, are the 4 seed just because they're in the same division as the Chiefs. So that, I don't know. I'd prefer a rule change there, but that's not going to happen.
I agree. I think there needs to be a rule change. Like they can still have, one division winner, in my opinion. If one division winner is not as good as the 5th or 6th seed, switch them.
Exactly.
Give the other one home field.
Yeah, it was just kind of weird to see that. But as far as the NFC side goes, Eagles versus Bears. Who are you predicting for this one, Tyson?
I've got to say, I really like the Bears, but I'm going to pick the Eagles here.
Interesting.
Just because that defense is on fire right now. The Bears offense, I don't fully trust Trubisky.
They have some receivers out. They've
Yeah.
had some injuries at their receivers, which might hurt them.
Right, yeah, and just the Bears have a great defense, probably the best in the league. But that Eagles offense is experienced. Nick Foles is riding high right now. He's ready for another Super Bowl win. I think he's going to play his best.
The
I
man makes $500,000 for every game he wins in the playoffs. I think he's pretty motivated to get
oh
some
yeah,
wins here.
oh yeah, for sure, yeah. And I would love to see the Bears win this game, but I've got to pick the Eagles here.
Interesting. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Bears in this situation. I feel like the Soldier Field home field advantage and their defense has been hot as well. So if Foles, it's going to come down to Foles and his performance. If Foles has a beginning of the year Foles performance, we're talking a Chicago win. If he comes in like he did last year, it's the Eagles. So this one's a coin toss. It's a fun game. I love to look at it. Tyson, take us through your take on the other NFC wild card this week, the Seahawks coming into Dallas.
All right, yeah, and this is another one that could really go either way. Like any of these games could go
I'm
either way.
excited for this one. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to pick the Cowboys here, and just because I think they've got the home field advantage, and they're riding high from their win this week, and they really got it. They have to win. Like everyone has been talking about how the Cowboys have been horrible the last 20 years, or well, not horrible, but they can't win anything. I think they've got that in their heads. They really want to show the world that they can win a playoff game, move further, I think they have the team to do it. Their offense is really good, and they rested some people on Sunday. So if they come in full strength, I really think the Cowboys are going to win this game.
I agree with you there. They seem to have a different energy this year than some of the Romo years. So I'm going to call Cowboys as well. But again, a coin toss. Like we said, any of these teams could win the entire thing, much less this, let alone these games this weekend.
Right.
So, all right, Chargers, Ravens. I hate to say it. I feel like the Ravens are a little favored here just being at home, but I'm going to pick the Chargers because they're my boys and I want to see them finally get over the hump. This is the biggest challenge for them other than maybe the Patriots. But the Ravens are going to be tough. They lost to the Ravens 22-10 or 22-12 just 3 weeks ago. So this is their chance to come in if they come in poised. So if Tyrell Williams, Keenan Allen, and Benjamin come in this week and play really well with Rivers, their offense has to play really well against this difficult defense to beat. But they can do it. So I'm going to call the Chargers. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I would love to see the Chargers win this game. I would love to see the Chargers win the Super Bowl. But I've got to say, I'm going to go with the Ravens on this game. And
I almost said me too, but out of defiance, I'm picking the Chargers.
right, yeah, you got to do that sometimes. I do it every week for the Dolphins.
Because I'm going to feel terrible if the Chargers do win and I pick the Ravens. So
Right, yeah.
I'll feel worse if that's the case. So
Yeah.
their run game is malicious. It's hard to prepare for that as well. So we'll see if the Chargers can make some changes from 3 weeks ago and lock that down.
Right, for sure. I think John Harbaugh's got a well-oiled machine here, and they're lucky. Lamar Jackson has been really good this year for a rookie quarterback. He's played really well. I think he's got the fire in him. The Ravens have the home field. It's going to be really tough for the Chargers to pull a win out here. But
side note, what a class of rookie quarterbacks this year. Have you seen it? It's been a while. I mean, maybe even since 1983 or maybe 2003, have we not seen this many good quarterbacks come out of one class, at least so far?
Right, yeah. Yeah, I believe 2012 had a couple, but some of them kind of trailed off a little bit.
Yeah.
You've got Andrew Luck and Russell Wilson in that one.
It's true. It's looking promising.
Yeah, this one's definitely looking promising, especially Baker Mayfield and Lamar Jackson. I think that they're both phenomenal quarterbacks. So
yeah. All right, Colts, Texans. What are your thoughts here?
I'm going with the Colts on this one. I think the Texans really want to win this game. They've got the home field.
The Texans want to make some history for themselves. They have short history, but they need to get past that hump of just losing in the first round of playoffs every year.
Right, yeah, for sure. And they've had the misfortune of, seems like every year they play the Patriots.
That's true. Playoffs. They always have a rough road. This is their chance to change that. I mean, Deshaun Watson's been great this year. Their defense is ferocious, that defensive line. J.J. Watt As much as I think he can be overrated, he has had a good year this year, as well as the rest of the line, Clowney and Merciless and company, and the Honey Badger. So it's a good defense.
Yeah, it is. And I believe the Texans really could win this game, but the reason I'm picking the Colts is because of Andrew Luck. I think that he is on fire right now. I think he's playing at elite levels. He's playing really well, and that Colts defense on Sunday was phenomenal. I think that they have a really good chance of shutting down Deshaun Watson. Anyway, I think that Deshaun Watson, he's a great quarterback. I don't know how he's going to perform in this game, but that Colts defense is hot right now, so he's going to have a challenge. I'm picking the Colts in this one. What are your thoughts, Luke?
So as far as this one, this makes 3 out of 4 games that we picked opposite. I'm going to take the Texans on this one. I feel like this can be a good home field advantage, and they have been playing well for the most part. They had a huge winning streak. They've been doing good. So I think 3 out of the 4 games we picked opposites. So people and listeners, you understand that we don't always just agree on every single game. But
For sure.
I also feel every single one of these games is a coin toss. It's going to come down to little things, who can run the best oiled machine this weekend. It's going to be a fun one. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh yeah, for sure. This is what you want to see in wild card weekend, games like this where you don't know, it could go either way. So super exciting.
So give us an early prediction of your Super Bowl, Tyson. Looking at this tree, who are you calling before anything happens in the playoffs? Who's gonna be there and who's gonna win?
So my initial thoughts, there are a couple matchups I would love to see. I would love to see the Chiefs and Rams play again. I would love to see the Cowboys and Patriots play. There's a lot of people who would hate that I said that. Those are probably the 2 most liked teams and the 2 most hated teams in America, and that's why I would like to see them play, is because they are both so big like that. But my thought is, I believe that the Saints and Patriots are going to play. I really do. I believe it's going to be Drew Brees versus Tom Brady, classic heavyweight quarterback duel. And I don't know if I can say this early or if I should, but I think the Saints are going to come out on top. How about you? What do you got? What are your early thoughts?
Yeah, early thoughts. And of course, this is a really tough playoff to predict. There are teams that can take the Patriots out. Judging by history, though, I could very well see the Patriots in the Super Bowl. My early prediction is going to be Kansas City versus the Saints. I feel like Kansas City, this could and should be their year. Andy Reid is hungry for it, and he needs that, and they want that there. I think their desire is going to pull them through. However, they have a lot riding against them too, historically, and with Kareem Hunt out of the picture now, they haven't looked quite as sharp these last 4 weeks of the season. But Mahomes is a beast. My opinion, the best quarterback in the league this year. Just out of control good, and definitely my vote for MVP this year. No look throws and just pinpoint accuracy, and ridiculous for how young he is. Second year quarterback, that's unheard of in the league. And I wish him a long and successful career. I hope he breaks all the records and becomes, has all this success. Saints have looked good, so I'm going to call Chiefs and Saints at this early point, but I'll probably be wrong when we talk next week.
Right, yeah. Oh, definitely interesting. We both picked the Saints. I think that, they've got the home field that runs through New Orleans to get to the Super Bowl in the NFC. I think that, even though their defense struggled this week, they're going to get it together. They've got the bye.
Oh, it's going to be exciting, Tyson. We're looking forward to this. Before we go, it is customary for us to do 2 little games. This week, we're going to be doing a featured football card, which I'll put on the podcast image on YouTube. And then after that, we're going to each say a number and talk about the player that this number between 1 and 99 most reminds us of, a player in the NFL. And last week, Babe Ruth made an appearance. So sometimes baseball players show up too. It was my job this week to bring the cards. So the card that I'm featuring this week is Bruce Smith from it's Bruce Smith from
that's a good one.
That's a good one. Oh, one of our favorite defensive ends. It's the Upper Deck Collector's Choice, I believe from 1997. He was the 1996 NFL Defensive Player of the Year, and this is just a card kind of highlighting that. It says, while leading the AFC in sacks for the fourth time in his career and first time since 1993, Buffalo's Bruce Smith walked away with the 1996 NFL Defensive Player of the Year award.
Reggie White deserves his due for what he's done over his career, but I don't see Bruce being far behind him.
It doesn't say who quoted that, but I can see that on an NFL Films film. So that's our featured
anyone
card.
could have said that. Anyone could have said that. It's so true. Reggie White, Bruce Smith, great classic players.
Classic player, and he really carried that early 90s Bills team and was just always, he was also a great guy, great competitor. So that's the card for this week, and it's
Love
nostalgia, and there were so many to pick from, but you got to go with old Brucey. He's such a good player. Such a good player.
Definitely a classic player. I love that card too. I love we got those cards for Christmas one year, I think. It's like the tinfoil-y look to it. It's all shiny. I love that.
So let's play another game. We're each going to pick a number between 1 and 99. I'm going to choose one for Tyson, and Tyson's going to choose one for me. And then we're going to talk about which player that number most reminds us of. So I think, Tyson, you've been going first at a lot of these segments, so I'll go first this time.
All right. So the number I've got for you today, Luke, is 93.
93. Boy, the first person that came to mind was Gilbert Brown from the Green Bay Packers, that Super Bowl team that went in 1997 and lost to the Broncos. Big old Gilbert Brown, like 500 pounds.
Yeah.
That's the first 93 that comes to mind.
Oh man, that I didn't even think of him. That's great.
That's funny. Who came to your mind when you hear 93?
The first player that popped into my head was Ndamukong Suh, actually, when he'd switched over to the Dolphins, 93. Probably just because he played for the Dolphins. And
I can't think of other 93s, but John Randall was a classic.
Yeah, he was for sure. Calais Campbell.
Yeah, Calais Campbell's definitely one of those. He comes to mind. It took me a minute to think of him, but yeah, 93. Interesting number, Tyson. Thanks for bringing that one. I honestly, I don't know why Gilbert Brown came to mind, but here we are.
Right. Okay, what do you got for me?
Your number this week is 45.
Oh, 45.
That's a tough one, huh?
That is a tough one. For some reason, I see a Cowboys jersey in my head, but I don't think they had any classic 45s.
You think of Michael Jordan when he came back to the NBA.
that is actually what I thought of first, but I didn't want to bring up another sport.
That's okay. I mean, in this case, I'm struggling even in a Google image search to find a number 45 that was pretty memorable. Was TJ Duckett number 45 or no? I can't remember. Yeah, he was number 45. TJ Duckett from the Falcons.
Oh yeah, I do remember him.
Boy, that's tough though. I picked one that really didn't have anyone. I'd probably say TJ Duckett would be my choice because I can't even think of anyone else.
What's his name? That Newman guy wore 41.
41, yeah.
I remember him. Maybe that's why I thought of.
You think that 40 numbers are some of the most rare numbers in the NFL? I feel like
for sure. Yeah, definitely. Huh.
Interesting. All right. Well, that was an interesting game there. That did not turn out how I thought. But all right, we're gonna go with TJ Duckett and Michael Jordan.
Yep. I like that.
That's tough. What a tough round. My goodness. All right, Tyson, tell our listeners how they can get in touch with the show. You guys like what you hear? How do you contact us?
So we've got our email address. You can send us an email anytime. We'll look through them and we'll try to respond to you as quick as we can. You can reach us at directsnappodcast@gmail.com. There's no hyphens, no underscores, no symbols, just directsnappodcast@gmail.com. You can also talk to us on Twitter.
Now, this is the tough one. You got to pay attention to this Twitter handle.
Right, yeah. Our Twitter handle is @DadsSnap. So @Dads, DADS, Snap, SNAP, DADS, SNAP.
2 S's. We love to confuse you and make this difficult, but make sure you follow us, tweet us, email us, sponsor us, pay us to do this. Thank you. Now, hey, thank you so much for joining us, though. My name's Luke Randall. This is my brother Tyson Randall, and we hope you guys have a fantastic week.